Miyamoto Musashi, a name that echoes through time like the ringing of a blade. A samurai who mastered the art of combat, not just with skill, but with an unmatched understanding of strategy, psychology, and sheer audacity. Picture this, at a mere age of 13, Musashi fought his first duel against Arimi Kige, a skilled samurai. Musashi showed up to the duel late and armed with only a wooden sword he carved from an oar. Regardless, he went on to defeat his opponent with only a single blow. This victory established his reputation as a prodigy amongst the samurais. Today, we dive into the true story of this legendary warrior, the undefeated dual swords master who was brilliant as he was deadly. Musashi's story begins in 1584 in the countryside of Japan, also known as Harima. Born into a troubled world, Musashi was the son of a samurai named Munisai. His early life was tough, but that's where the seeds of greatness were sown. By the age of 7, Musashi was already beginning to train in kenjutsu, also known as swordsmanship. But here's the thing, his father, a master swordsman, didn't exactly raise him with care. Instead, Musashi's childhood was marked by hardship and neglect, which drove him to learn on his own, developing a cold, calculated nature. By the time Musashi was 16, he was already earning a reputation across Japan. But unlike many warriors, Musashi didn't just fight for honor, he fought for something deeper, a need to prove that his way, the way of the sword, was the only path. But Musashi's rise to greatness wasn't just a series of victories. It was about more than skill. It was about adapting to the world around him and understanding the mind of his opponent. The real test of Musashi's genius came during his most famous duel, the one against Sasaki Kojirō in 1612. Kojirō was a master swordsman known across Japan for his speed and precision. But Musashi, always thinking ahead, showed up late to the duel. His rival was furious, but Musashi, he calmly carved a wooden sword from an oar, walking into the duel with a makeshift weapon. Imagine the audacity of it, to face one of the greatest warriors of the time with nothing but a wooden oar and a mind that was already 10 steps ahead. The duel was over in seconds. Musashi's stroke was quick, brutal, and deadly. Kojirō's legendary katana, the Mono Hoshizai, was no match for the precision of Musashi's strike. The battle was won with a single blow, cementing Musashi as one of the greatest duelists in history. But what made Musashi legendary wasn't his ability to defeat his opponents, it was his mind. He spent years perfecting his technique, developing a philosophy that went beyond swordsmanship. He believed that mastery in combat came from mastery of oneself. Musashi's philosophy was rooted in Zen Buddhism. He believed in the concept of void, the emptiness of the mind, to be fully present without fear or distraction, and that's what set him apart from the rest of the warriors during that time. He wasn't just a fighter, he was a strategist, an artist, and a philosopher. And all of this became clear in his greatest work, the book he wrote in his final years, the Book of Five Rings. In the Book of Five Rings, Musashi shared his thoughts on strategy, combat, and life. 5 elements he outlined: earth, water, fire, wind, and void, represented the different aspects of combat and personal mastery. Earth was about solid foundation, water about adaptability, fire about aggression and determination, wind about understanding your opponent, and void about the space where you achieve true mastery, free from the attachment of fear. The teachings in this book have influenced martial artists, businessmen, and even military leaders throughout history. It's a blueprint from overcoming any challenge of life. Now, Musashi didn't just teach through words, he lived it. Throughout his life, he fought in numerous battles and duels, but rather than relying purely on strength or brute force, he relied on strategy, timing, and understanding the environment. During the Sekigari Battle of 1600, Musashi fought on the side of the Western Army. It wasn't a decisive battle for him. He was there not for glory, but to observe, to learn. His real fight was the one he had with himself and his understanding of combat. In his later years, Musashi withdrew from the battlefield and took to the quiet of a cave, Reggiando, where he spent his days meditating and reflecting on his life. It was here that he wrote the Book of the Five Rings at the age of 61. Musashi's character development was as much inner growth as it was about external mastery. He didn't just refine his swordsmanship, he refined his understanding of the world. His wisdom, his calm, and his ability to see beyond the immediate fight made him not just a warrior, but a sage. Miyamoto Musashi passed away in 1645, having lived a life filled with duels, battles, and quiet reflection. But his legacy has never died. To this day, his story continues to inspire not just warriors, but anyone that strives for excellence in their own lives. He is the ultimate example of what it means to master your mind and your craft. The dual swords he wielded were more than weapons. They were extensions of his spirit, his will, and his clarity of purpose. Musashi didn't just change the art of swordsmanship, he changed how we think about mastery itself. He was a man who took the world by storm, not just with his skill, but with his strength of mind and character. So, the next time you think of a warrior with dual swords, remember, it wasn't just a fiction or fantasy. It was Musashi, one of the greatest warriors to ever live, and his legend, still as sharp as ever.